Hi, Alex here from Rebeloper.com and welcome back to the channel. Now in this video we are going to talk about delegates, so let's jump right into it. So let's take a look at what we are going to build out today. Of course the topic is delegates and we are going to do that in Swift. So let's build and run in this project, the testing easy delegate project, and take a look at what we have got here. So first of all, we have a message here. I am waiting for a message and I am saying that I am waiting for the message. So it says here me. Now if we go on and push all of these buttons, it says hello, and that is pretty straightforward. If we send a message from the same view controller, then we might expect to be almost instantly set there. So let's reset me, I am waiting for a message, me, hello. So it is me, that it is the view controller, the root view controller. So let's push to the next, the second view controller. And as you can see, here we have a send message with delegate, and if we send a message with the delegate says, wow, delegates are cool, and that is true. So let's go and take a look at the second button here, send optional message with delegate. Now optional delegate methods are quite tricky to implement, so I will show you how to do that too. So send optional message with delegate. The delegate says this message is optional, and this is what we are going to build out today. So what are delegates and why should we use them? Well, as you saw earlier, let's reset the message here. Me, meaning the root, is saying I am waiting for message, and if you want to display here a new message, you just simply select the message and it says me hello. Now this is on the same view controller, but what if we are on a different view controller? Well, that's where delegates come in handy. We can send a message with delegate. Again, this function is called in the second view controller, and with a delegate it is executed on the root view controller. Well, basically that is it. We have a messenger, so-called a delegate, so that the root can perform some action on itself, of course. So let's just jump right into it. Go ahead and take a look at the link down below for the resources. You will be taken to my resources YouTube page, and there you will find the link to the GitHub repository. Now make sure, let me just close this. Now make sure that you download the starter project from the GitHub repository, and it will look something like this. Well, basically it will look exactly like this. Let's just build and run and take a look at what we have here. And it is just the wireframe, well, the skeleton of our app that I have just shown you, but without any functionality. So even if we tap in here, it doesn't really change the message here. Okay, so we want to implement delegates into this one. First of all, let's take a look at the structure of our app, and we have, of course, the app delegate, where we instantiate our root view controller and add it into a navigation stack, and add this navigation stack into our root view controller, the Windows root view controller. Pretty simple stuff. Now let's go to the root view controller. Here we have our label, and we are using tiny constraints. And yeah, I just forgot, go ahead and you need to open up, let's go here, the Easy Delegates Xcode XC workspace. And for that to work, you will not have these pods and pod files, only you will have this pod file and you need to install, or rather yet update our pods. So to do that, let's go into terminal, let's open it up, let's make this a little bit bigger and type in cd and drag and drop the root folder of your project, hit return, and type in pod update and hit return. Now I won't hit return because all of my pods are installed correctly, but you need to go and install tiny constraints into your project. And then again, go and navigate to the root view controller. Now let's continue. Here we have our imported tiny constraints and our label. Now let's just go ahead and take a look at the view did load. Let me just make this a little larger. The preferences pane. There we go. Okay. Now we have in the view did load a setup navigation and a setup views. Now in the navigation, we set the navigation title to root. We have a message navigation bar bottom item, a reset and a push, and we have added it to the navigation item. Okay, and of course we have our Objective-C file private functions, push bar bottom item tab, message and reset bar bottom item tab. Now for the push bar bottom item tab, we are just pushing our second view controller onto the navigation controller stack. Okay, and in the setup views, we just simply set the background to white, we add our label and center it in super view with the help of tiny constraints. Now, if you don't know what tiny constraints is, go ahead and take a look at my playlist on the channel about tiny constraints. It covers everything you need to know. Okay, now, what do we want to have here? Before we do that, let's take a look at the second view controller. We have our button here, our optional button, our button tabbed and optional button tabbed functions. For now, they just pop the view controller, and we set the navigation title to be second. We hide the back button on the navigation item. We set the background color to be white, and we position the two buttons again with the help of tiny constraints. Great. Now, with that out of the way, let's take a look at how we can create delegates. Okay, now delegates are some sort of messenger. When we are in the second view controller, we need to create a delegate that sends messages to the root view controller. Now, these messages are basically functions, and they need to be wrapped neatly into, let's say, a letter, and that letter is a protocol. Now, protocols are the sets of functions that a delegate can create. So let's go ahead and create our first protocol in the second view controller. So let's type in protocol and let's choose this one. And as you can see, we have a name, and the name will be second view controller and the delegate. Okay, now this second view controller delegate protocol has some functions that we will use later on. So let's create a function, and this function basically says that we did send the message. So if you recall on UI table view, delegates and so on, it starts off mainly with did something. So we will go with that pattern too. So did send message, and we will add in here a message, and that will be of type string. Okay, and that is it. That is the envelope, that is the function that we are going to send through the delegate. Now, in the second view controller, we need to create our delegate so the root view controller can listen or conform to that delegate. Okay, so let's create a var, and we could call this delegate, but maybe the root view controller is listening for other delegates too that are basically Apple's delegates, so the main delegates of the UI kit. So what we want to do here is name this appropriately. So we want to name this second view controller delegate. So when even we listen to them or call them, we exactly know what we are calling. Okay, so second view controller delegate, and it will be of type second view controller delegate. And I will make this optional because maybe we don't want to instantiate it or nobody is listening to it. Okay, Now we want to basically send this message, and we will use this second view controller delegate, and we will choose this did send message function if we didn't have any other. And in the bottom tab, as you can see here, we have our button send message with delegate, and here we have our selector for that. So in the button tab, let's create a message. Let message equals, and let me just copy out the message here. So here we have our message. Now we need to send it, and that is pretty straightforward. Remember the delegate that we have created? We are going to use that now. So second view controller delegate, and hit a dot, and you will see a list. Well, now we only have one in the list of the functions that a delegate can send to whomever is listening to these to its messages. I believe we need to have this with a small s. Okay, let's type a dot again. Did send message, and as you can see, this is an optional that is fair. And let's hit copy, command C, and paste that in there. Now we are sending this message. It's like, okay, whomever is listening, I want to know that you need to react to this did send message with the, let's say, the message of this string. Wow, delegates are cool. Now we need to listen. That is the second part of understanding delegates. Let's go back to our root view controller because we want to listen there. And it is pretty straightforward. First of all, we need to set that we are the listeners. So in the push bar button item tab, because that's where we can access the delegate of the second view controller. Let's go ahead and access that. So second view controller delegate is ourselves, the root view controller. And let me just type that in again. So self is the root view controller. So we are listening for the second view controller delegates actions. Okay, now it says cannot assign value to root view controller. Don't worry about that because we need to implement the delegate functions. And for that, I usually create an extension because we don't want to clutter our main class like this one or somewhere here. So what others would do, or the old way of doing it before extensions, we would add in here a comma and add, let's say, second view controller delegate, but we're not going to do that because we don't want to clutter our main class. Let's just create an extension for it. So type in extension and root view controller and second view controller delegate. Now just wait a little bit, or maybe hit command B, and you will see that type root view controller, and let's read that, does not conform to protocol second view controller delegate. Do you want to add protocol stubs? What this basically means is, yeah, we do know that you want to listen to those functions, to those messages that the delegate delivers, but what are those functions? You need to implement them here. So let's add fix, and of course it is just only one function, and we are going to receive the message here. So what are we going to do with that message? Well, it is pretty straightforward. We are going to add it to the labels text. So message here, and that is it. So let me just hit build and run. And again, we have set up a protocol in the second view controller. We have created a delegate in the second view controller, and with that delegate we are sending this did send a message. We are listening in the root view controller, and we are conforming to the protocol stubs. That is, we are basically receiving this send message function, and there inside that function we are let's say acting accordingly, like we are setting the message that we have received to the label.text. So I am waiting for a message, let's go and select push, and let's click on the send message with delegate button. Okay, and it worked. Wow, delegates are cool, really nice. And as you can see, this is not me, this is not the root, this is a delegate. So let's reset it again, or rather yet, let's create the reset. Let me just go ahead, and in the root view controller, let's set the reset bar button item tabbed. Yeah, this is kind of tedious, but let's go and do that now. So in the reset bar button item tab, we have me, I am waiting for message, and in the message bar bottom item tab, we said me, I am here, or rather yet, let's just say hello. Okay, so let's test that again, and we can move after that to optional delegate functions or protocols. Okay, so message, me, hello. So this is inside the root view controller. Let's reset that, me, I am waiting for a message. Let's push and send a message with a delegate. Wow, delegates are cool, and let's reset it again. Real nice. Now, if you recall, when we implemented the second view controller, we had these stubs, and this automatically added this here. Now, this is required. The this send message function is required. But what if we don't want to have every function that a delegate has, every message or instruction that a delegate has to be required? And that is where optional functions come in. And let's go to the second view controller, and you can see that we have an optional button here. So here you can see that we have our optional button, and we can, the title is send optional message with a delegate. So that is what we are going to do. We are going to create an optional function that is not required in the root view controller. Well, you could use it if you wanted to, but it is not required. Okay, so let's scroll all the way up to the second view controller delegate, and let's just copy this function and paste it again and rename it to send optional message. Now, if we build and run now with Command B, you will see that type root view controller does not conform to protocol and so on. So if you wanted to fix this, we needed to add this did send optional message. So this is required at the moment. So let's delete this and not care about that error for now. Let's go back to the second view controller. So how do we make this did send optional message function to be optional? Well, we are going to use extensions again. So we are going to extend this second view controller. So extension second view controller delegate. I'm sorry, we need to extend the second view controller delegate. And we are going to add only this function in here. And we are going to add these two parentheses, and that takes care of it. Now, did send optional message now is optional. So let's hit Command B and see that no errors will occur. And indeed, we don't really need this second view controller. In the second view controller, we don't need this protocol stub. Okay, now how do we use it? Well, the same. Let's go down and let's create a new message here in the optional button tab. Great. So let's select our second view controller delegate and now type in did send, and as you can see we have the option to select the second one here, and the message will be a message, of course. Now, if we wanted to listen to this, then we could. If we don't, we will not. But we want to listen to this, okay? So let's go ahead and inside the extension of our root view controller, let's just hit Command B here so we can see that everything succeeds and everything is in order. We just want to type in the optional, we start typing in the optional delegate method. So send optional message. And there we go. Just hit return. And again, the label text should be the message. Great. Awesome. How awesome was that? So let's hit Command B or just run, Command R for running our project. So let's push and send an optional message with Delegate, and this is an optional message. Now, how awesome was that? And that is the basics and basically all what you need to know about delegates in Swift. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And of course, hit that notification bell to get notified of new awesome videos just like this one. And as always, I will see you in the next one.